Hey guys, and welcome back to Undaunted Pursuit podcast. I am joining you solo right now because we're waiting for Marshall to whatever he does with his computer and get fired up and ready for this week's podcast. But I thought in the meantime, while I was waiting, I would just get on here and tell you guys that this is going to be a little different of a podcast this week. We haven't done this in a little while, and we have a very special guest for you this week, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. His name is Justin Oliver. He's a singer-songwriter, and just getting back into the industry. I've had a chance to talk with him, and it's been great. I'm excited to have him on here. Marshall's excited to have him on here. So we hope you guys sit back and enjoy this week's podcast, and then next week we'll get into the rest of Luke and however that works out. So, again, guys, thanks for joining us this week, and we're going to take a break here, roll the intro, and then we'll get into the interview or the discussion or whatever we're going to discuss. So it's been quite crazy. I'm trying to get this done before everybody gets on here to do this, and so I hope you guys enjoy. We'll see you on the other side.
Fearless.
Chase.
Bold.
Following.
Courageous.
Search. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Marshall.
And this is
Undaunted
Pursuit. Normally kind of do a soft opening and whatever. So, but anyway, yeah, we're back.
Okay.
We're back here.
All right.
We're live. So yeah, no, I'm in Idaho, and Marshall's in Texas, and you are too, right?
Yes, I'm in Tyler, Texas. So about hour and a half east of Dallas.
Yeah.
Kind of like the best way to describe it, because not many people know where Tyler is, so I just say Dallas most of the time.
Oh, we both know.
My wife is from Longview, Texas, so I'm very familiar with that area.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Go to Longview quite a bit. So.
Mm-hmm.
Where was it?
So, yeah.
Wasn't your grandparents in Tyler? Wasn't
My
it?
grandparents used to have a lake on Cedar Creek, or a house on Cedar Creek Lake for a long time in Gembro City of Maybank, and then they had a house on Lake Palestine in Flint, Texas for a while. So
Yeah.
I spent many years out there.
Yeah, my grandparents are from Palestine, Grapeland area, so that's
Gotcha.
where a lot of my roots are at. So.
Awesome.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
So,
Well, hey, Justin, man, thanks for reaching out, buddy. It was I was excited to get you on here.
Yeah, no, it's an honor to be here. I'm really happy to be talking with you guys. So thank y'all for.
I like your hat, by the way. My wife is obsessed with that. God is greater than the highs and the lows. She loves it.
Yeah, most people don't know what it means when they first see it. They're like, I mean, almost every family member or friend that's come across it always asks. But I like it because it sparks the question of what does that mean? And then you can go into, talking about God. And it's just, I love wearing gear like that, because if I go out and I'm wearing like Under Armour or Nike or something like that, that's not going to spark a conversation. But if I'm wearing something else, it's almost guaranteed to somebody's going to say something. So just love wearing things like that.
Awesome. So, oh man, what was I going to say? I was going to have you, Marshall. Oh man, there was something I was wanting to just kind of break the ice with, but I can't. I was just thinking of it too. Dang it. Oh yeah, Marshall. We are, we'll get into this here in a little bit, but this is a first for us here on Undaunted Pursuit. I don't think we've ever had a guest on here, an Emmy award-winning guest, and hopefully soon a Grammy award-winning guest, huh?
Yeah, that would be, that would be the ideal. But no, I'm incredibly honored. It was so with the Emmy. It was Emmy nominated. I wish it was Emmy award, but
okay.
But hey, still an honor. But yeah, I was actually producing newscasts, and I still produce newscasts for about 5 or 6 years. And last year, We did some tornado coverage, and yeah, I got some recognition and
Sweet.
got nominated for an Emmy. So it's always cool whenever your shows get. But you know what? I mean, it's just I see the fruit in that, and then I see things now with my music, how God has just amplified that whenever the content's been surrounding Him. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
got nominated for that Emmy, right? And it was more of a team thing, and I always say that, like, it was never just individually myself, like it was a team. And then with this, it's the same deal. I mean, it's community. The whole reason. I mean, I'm nominated for three different categories at the WVIU awards in Alabama. So it's more of like an indie artist station that plays a bunch of like independent Christian artist music.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, just blown away. I thought, I mean, they said I got nominated for something, but I didn't think I was going to get nominated for three different categories. That's kind of crazy. But
That's really cool.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
and my
Well,
first Christian single too. My first Christian single. So I'm incredibly humbled by everything that's happened. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Well, that's why we have you on here. You've released a new single, but let's start from the beginning. What you're a Christian hip hop artist. I really loved it. I've listened to it several times. Saved and Thankful, and yeah, it's great. It's very clean and it's well recorded. I'm just for being your first single, man. You got it dialed in.
yeah, I've always even when I used to do secular music a long time ago, quality has always been something that's very, very, and even with Saved and Thankful, I still have things that like I grit my teeth on, but it's
Mm-hmm.
minor things, and I can't bring it to myself to bring like something to the table that's not that's not going to be up to some sort of quality, not because it's about the quality in itself, but it's especially with this, it's more important that I get my message across so that nobody has anything to distract them whenever they're listening to it. Like, I don't want, somebody to be like, oh, well, I could have got the message, but this bothered me, or I couldn't get over this part of the song, or, this quality just wasn't matching up. There was too much static here. Those types of
Mm-hmm.
things are just things that I think about. And so yeah, no, I'm incredibly grateful for it. The way it came together, it's a whole story. And if y'all want to get to that, we can. But basically, yeah, for my first release, I'm incredibly grateful for it. It's really done some amazing things for me, opened a lot of doors for me, things that I would have never. I feel like I never would have gotten if I would have taken the secular route. Um, and it just means so more. It's authentic. I think that's the best way to
Yeah.
put it. It's just authentic music to myself. And when I was doing rap and hip hop a long time ago for other reasons, it wasn't myself. It felt fake, and it felt like something that I couldn't uphold. And so I'm very thankful that God pulled me back into who I am and finding out what my identity is. So
That's awesome.
Love it.
That's awesome.
yeah,
So you started if you look up your website and I've read through your short little bio there. Um, your music career got let's go back to the beginning here and where we get into Everything's Fine and how you got your start and just share with our audience a little bit here where you got your start. Even you were saying that it was secular at the time. That's where I was trying to make sense of some of your bio here.
right. So really, it even starts a little bit further back than that, because I always try to pinpoint when I really started. Was in high school, so about 2012 to 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I was releasing records that this is a big time when Twitter was really popular, and I just remember in high school, just sharing my music, and it's kind of the kid that everybody knew for that, you know what I mean? And it started with literally me just going over to this guy's house. He had a studio in his room. He recorded music and he produced music and stuff, and so I ended up linking up with him. And like I said, completely as secular music as it could be. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it's on the what I'm doing now. It's on the completely other end of the spectrum. It's not even close. And I listen back to it now and I cringe really hard. But That's what, even if I wasn't doing it for the right reasons, I think I was able to spot that I had a gift for never going to music school, never being around a musical family, never having anything remotely close to like somebody to kind of like guide me musically, but yet I had this gift to be able to stay on beat and be able to rap and to be able to go through beats and be able to have just an ear for it, to be like, well,
Mm-hmm.
this is good, this is what mixes with me, this is, even I couldn't see myself on that, that's an amazing product. Like there's so many things that like God has gifted me that's not it's I can only point it back to him, because I can't,
Yeah.
there's nothing that I've done that's trained myself up for this. It's not like an athlete that trains for works his whole life to get to be in the best shape, and then now they have the ability. I mean, it's all been God given stuff. Like, and so it's a shame that I've wasted so many years. I mean, I know it's all part of God's perfect plan, but it's a shame that I
Mm-hmm.
wasted a lot of that time not tapping into what I could have tapped into. But like I said, I was able to identify that I had a gift, and then after high school, I kind of shut it off for a little bit. And then, I really just focused on college. And because I messed around in high school, college, I didn't mess around so much because
Yeah.
my dad had me. He was like, you either make a 3.0 or above the next semester, or you're not going to the next semester. And I was like,
Oh
so
wow.
I really dialed in on college, and ended up getting a bachelor's degree in communications, focused on broadcasting.
Sweet.
That was 2017, and so I went straight into the industry. Took my first job in Odessa, Texas,
Hmm.
and stayed there for about 6 months. Went to Colorado Springs for a year, and then this is, what are we at? We're at October 2019.
Yeah.
That's when I moved back to Tyler, and it was actually 2017. Back it up a little bit. So during my time in Colorado Springs, um, I think I had actually just gotten there, but before I left, I had recorded "Everything's Fine." I'd been making trips back to Fort Worth from Odessa, which is crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd been working on "Everything's Fine," and it was just a couple records, right? But I mean, I had cut off the cussing. I think God had a hold of my heart, but I wasn't committed yet, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
cries out to God in that song. It talks about or say it in that song, but I meant like in the record in itself, because there's a lot of depression and anxiety, things that a lot of people deal with, but I didn't know where to take it. You know what I mean? Like, it
Hmm.
was a lot of, it's just everything just setting the table up for me to be, saved by God, but I hadn't committed yet. So, I realize it so much more now when I listen back to the EP. And
Yeah.
it's still out there, because I feel like it's important to have that, so that people know where my journey is, because I would
Definitely.
have a little more questions about it if it was a lot of cussing in it, but with this, it really just shows where I was before I was a Christian. I think it's important.
That's a good
Um,
thing too.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and so, because I always point back to people, I'm like, man, I didn't just wake up one day and I was like, man, I'm a Christian. You know what I mean? There was a definitely a progression,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, years of rebellious activity that shaped me into finally committing my life to Christ. But yeah, after I released that EP, a couple years back. I mean, I came back home in 2019, um, and then through that whole time of 2019 to really 2022, I had a lot of changes. I got saved, got baptized. That was all in 2021. I got
Mm-hmm.
married. I got engaged. Then I got married, all in 2021. And my wife, she was right there with me through it all. She had never been in a church before, and so we found Christ at the same time. We got baptized at the same time. Very God's promise was incredibly heavy on that, and it just it really, whenever I got back from the military. So I joined the military in December of 2021, or
Mm-hmm.
December of 2022. I joined the military. Started basic training in January of 2023, and then I was gone for 17 weeks in Fort Jackson. So I really just 17 weeks, it was really kind of a battle, but I did some amazing things over a basic training. I mean, held Bible study, got closer to God, I feel like, than I ever have in my life because everything else was turned off.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I was reading my Bible every single night, devotional every single night, passing devotionals off to these soldiers because I knew they didn't have anything else either. I mean, it was really incredible. And, went from everything. I mean, it's a whole thing, man. Like that, I look back at that period of my life and God really worked some crazy things because, I would write Bible study, and because my handwriting was so god awful, this is like crazy. So my handwriting was so bad but I developed a friendship with this guy, and he was Hindu, and he would rewrite my scripture, for me, so I could print them out for everybody, hand them out as kind of like a handout for whenever we had Bible study. But like slowly, like I just saw him, like, he would dive into, I caught it one night he was reading Genesis, and I was like, man, that's crazy. And then, after a while, we just realized, I think he realized how much similarities our religions had, but at the same time, they were, very different because, Christ offered something that his did not. And so, like,
well, it was your handwriting that led, God used that to minister to him,
Yeah. So praise God for my awful handwriting. That's all that it really did, man. Because I mean, you think about writing, the art of writing is literally, in order to write something, it has to go through your mind. You have to literally say the words to yourself as you're writing it. It's not just a deal where you have no sense of connection to it. You have to know what you're writing.
Yeah.
And so that was really special to me. And, we've kept up, and he's probably one of the best friends I have. I mean, seriously, like, it just, and I think about it from that mindset of, like, so many Christians just shut off people like that as soon as they realize what they are. And even though our views may differ, we also don't do our job in being able to maybe bring that person to salvation. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
You gotta. That's why opening the door is always so important. I mean, we can't ever shut doors like that, because I would have missed out on something really special if I would have shut doors. So yeah, but that whole experience was really cool, man. And then I got back. I got back in May of earlier this year, and then once I got back, I felt God really pulling on myself, pulling my heart to get back into music. And don't know where it came from, don't know how it happened. It just, like, I just had like this drive to start music again. And so I went out, I got these 2 little speakers, I got this microphone, I got everything that generally would cost me hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I went and covered that, for a one expense, because I wanted to be able to record my vocals here. I know mixing and mastering is a whole nother ball game, but I wanted to be able to, record my stuff here. And so I recorded Saved and Thankful here.
Wow.
Literally, I wrote it in about 20 minutes. The hook was a different story because I had linked up with the producer, and I met the artist through him, and so the hook was a little bit different. But the process of writing the verses was strictly in here about 20 minutes.
Wow. Huh.
And so it was a real, I mean, the funny thing about that is I showed my wife and my brother, because they were here when I was recording it, and they were just in the other room talking. I showed it to them, and they were like, they were like, I think it could use some work. I was like, dang. I was like, I just poured my passion into that song. Like, everything I had, I was like, this is from God. I could feel it. I was like, well, I'm going to trust my judgment a little bit on this. Well, I ended up putting it out, and I was like, one thing I learned from that whole situation is that my brother and my wife are not the biggest hip hop heads in the world, but
right.
but it's a funny story, man. I mean, like, my wife is so supportive, and she always told me that she felt like I was going to get back into music. Um, but but yeah, she's my biggest cheerleader, I guess. But yeah, no, that's kind of how that came together. And then I kid you not, like after that, I put that out. Like it's just every time I would send it to somebody, because I was just trying to really build, whatever relationships I could with Christian artists, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be a normal Christian hip hop person. I wanted to really just dive into. I felt like my sound mixed more with like CCM. I still feel like that
Yeah.
because I just feel like I'm not like hardcore from the streets Christian rap.
Well, I can appreciate that too, because I'm not
Yeah,
I'm not really into that real hardcore stuff. More hip hoppy,
yeah,
I can get on board with, and it's just that what you would think of I don't know, gangster rap, I guess, or
yeah,
just real hard stuff.
yeah,
It's harder for me to listen to. Just like you said, your wife and your brother are, yeah, your wife
yeah,
and your brother. They're
yeah,
just not. At least that's when I said it was really clean. It was really well mixed as far as like you
yeah,
added that little element of rap, but then you had that full hip hop feel to it. It was just
yeah.
it's very clean.
Yeah. And shout out to John. My friend John is really the one. We sat down for about a day and just sat there and mixed the record from like when the sun came up to when the sun went down. We got after it, and so he made that really really clean, and he worked on it afterwards too. I mean, he put his all into it, and so I'm really really thankful for him. And everybody always tells me that the mix sounds clean, so I always give him the credit there because it's not something I can do. But I'm very thankful for him, and yeah, that's really how the record came together. And it's like I said, it's opened so many. I mean, just to know that like it's helped so many people. I feel like, and
Mm-hmm.
and I'll never know how many people it are. How many people it helped, but but I do feel that it's just every single person I've sent it to has just had nothing but great things to say about it, and it's very humbling for me to hear that because there's a long story as I told y'all that goes into it. Did not get here overnight,
Yeah,
um, so yeah,
I really
you
like
just
that.
need to keep it up. Go
Absolutely.
ahead, Marshall.
So no, so Justin, I want to kind of back up just a few years to 2021. So I believe you said was it March of 2021 when you and your wife found the Lord when y'all accepted Christ. Kind of walk us through that from beginning to end. Like what led
for sure.
you to that point, and kind of tell us that process because I think that really is how you got to where you are today, and really kind of the focal point of this whole situation here.
For
Mm-hmm.
sure. Um, so so like I said, October of really September of 2020. Um, my wife, well, she wasn't my wife yet, so we actually met in high school. So this is even way years before that. So we're talking like 2012, 2014. We knew each other. We weren't fond of each other. She was more of the smart person. I was more of the goof around person in high school. And so two different personalities. We grew up a little bit, ended up going through the same college program. We were more like friends at that point. And then in 2020, when the whole pandemic happened, we reconnected on a Zoom call with a bunch of my high school friends. And after that, we never stopped talking. Um, that was March of 2020. And then I think in June or July, I started having conversations with her of saying like, "Hey, I think you should think about coming to the TV station I'm working at." 'Cause she was working in TV too, but she'd never gotten any opportunities. What she really wanted to do, which was be on camera, and and so I was like, "I think you could have a real shot here." And so she ended up taking a reporter job down here. When she got here, we discussed like we were like, "Hey," and we were both in agreement of like, "Hey, I think we really need to find a church because it's just something that we haven't." Either of us have really committed to, and I think it's important for our relationship. Um, and even what really, really sparked that actually was I actually had a dream. I want to say this is October. I can't remember the date of it. It's in that time, but I just remember waking up in like sweat because uh, so the rapture actually happened in my dream, but I
Oh,
didn't make it.
nice.
I didn't make it,
Oh,
Hmm.
and
nice.
so I remember it very vividly of going outside and this just points more to my knowledge. Like I knew the stories, right, and I knew all, you know what I mean. But that's where I didn't have an excuse. Like I knew that stuff, and so it was just strictly a state of of rebellion. And Scripture tells us like everybody, you'll know it in your heart, you know it.
Hmm.
But it was
Hmm.
for me, I was just rebelling, and I knew that. And so I just remember going out to the street. I was just in sweat, like thinking like I can't keep going on like this. I gotta change myself. And so that's when I brought it up to her. I believe it was like the next couple of days or the next day, just saying, hey, I think we really need to commit to going to a church. And so we ended up doing that. It was a little rocky at first. I'm not gonna lie. We would go a week and then we'd miss a week and then we'd go a week and miss a couple weeks.
Hmm.
It was really trying to find that routine, but things seem to always be more important on Sunday. You know how the devil really works at that,
Oh yeah.
and just trying to make us miss out on what we really, so that we could feed our soul.
Hmm.
But anyway, we did finally get in a consistent church routine, and then January moving into February is when we really started seeing like the fruit of it. Like we could see that we still hadn't been saved, but we were really consistently seeking God. Um, and then in March of 2021, after a service, it was like I want to say it was March 13th. It's one of those dates. But we were sitting there on a Sunday, um, and it was after service, and we both just felt the Spirit come upon us, and like we're like we want to commit. We want to commit fully to
Yeah.
this. And I'd said those words before. I think a lot of us. I mean, depending on what your background is, I think you say when you're in church and everybody's saying to confess, Jesus is
Hmm.
Lord. Yeah, you confess it, but there's no change, and you're just like, you're still living in your old ways. It's just words that don't have any, they don't move
Yep.
you. You're just saying them.
Yep.
And so I had done that a couple times, but this one it was like I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna have to make some changes, because that's what
Yeah.
it takes. Like what people always want to say, they want to say the words, but they don't want to make the changes, and we're bound to have to make changes, like
Yeah.
Oh
because
yeah.
you know it's just I think that's a big misconception. If people are like, well, I can be saved and then keep living, the way I want to live. It's like, no, you can't do that. I mean, you really can't. Like, it's just because you can't. You There's just a bridge that gets built between you and God whenever you do something like that, and you can't really. I think you can't really receive the salvation that you're really searching for. That's just my opinion.
Hmm.
But because I had to make a lot of changes, I had to cut out every type of secular music that I was listening to. I literally cleared my playlist um, because music is such a big influence for me. I mean, just being
Yeah.
honest, like I
Yeah.
I would go to the gym and I was listening to all the rap and hip hop that most people listen to, and I'm like, I'm depending on this stuff to fuel me through my workout and like just for hype or for what. But at the same time, I don't realize that I'm also just blaring like complete nonsense into my ears, and I'm soaking that in some way. But the world will tell you that no, you don't. It's just music. Don't worry about it. But after a while, it is. It's a big everything that you take in, whether it's what you see, what you hear.
Yeah.
You can't get away from it as much as you want to. You can't do that.
What is that? A
And
proverb that says that it's the same thing. Your eyes are a window to your heart or to your soul, however you want to put it. I can't remember exact wording of it.
yeah,
But same with what you hear too.
for sure,
Yeah. Pretty
one
much
hundred
what you
percent.
hear and what you see comes out in some way, whether it comes out your mouth or comes out from your heart in a negative way. But it's going to affect you and others. If you're bringing in trash, you're gonna live trash and breathe out trash, essentially.
Oh,
Hmm.
for sure, for sure. for sure. It's like a good diet or a bad diet. You know, if you flood yourself with a bad diet, even though you know it's probably not the best thing for you, but it satisfies you for a little bit, it's
Yeah.
like, hey man, you're probably not going to feel the best the next day. But you know, even though it may not seem as glorious as the cheeseburger or something, and you're eating healthy, hey man, I mean, eventually, you end up liking it because you like the way it makes you feel long term. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're chasing something, a long term satisfaction.
Hmm.
And so yeah, no, it's definitely. But anyway, yeah. So we started going to church. We got saved, and then we both made the decision to get baptized on Easter Sunday of that year. Um, and not long after that, which was May 29th, we got engaged in Franklin, Tennessee, of all places.
Heck
That
yeah.
I later, I later found out that that was like the place where all the Christian music artists are for some reason. Like I had no clue of that at the time. Like we literally were just trying to find a place like near Tennessee, and Franklin was like one of the most chill places that wasn't like right in the heart of Tennessee. And so,
Hmm.
but yeah, no, it's funny now. Every Christian music artist I talk to now is like, I'm in Franklin, Tennessee. I'm like, that's
Hmm.
cool. That's where my wife and I got engaged.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, so we ended up doing that, and then November later on that year, we ended up getting married. So it was really fast moving process, and I changed so much. I mean, really fast. And my wife was more. I mean, we're just on two different journeys, and
Yeah.
uh, I think God really hit me hard with it because I think I'd been rebelling for so long, but I changed so quick because I realized that. I think it was because I just knew that I couldn't halfway do it anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like something like I just had like a fire like lit inside me. Like I had to do it either full steam or I wasn't going to do it at all because
Hmm.
Well,
I've been, yeah, go
God
ahead.
knows God knows our hearts, right? So God knew
Yeah,
what you needed to get you going, and God knows what your wife needs to get her going. So he used that. Let's
100%.
full bore 100%. Let's do this with you. So that's pretty cool. I love it.
Oh, for sure, man. And I'll say, I mean, that go me saying that, I would also like to add, there's also like so many times, especially this year coming back from the military, where I was trying to find work for like months, right? And
Hmm.
I'm telling you, there was like periods where it was starting to get pretty dark for me, and like I really just because I trusted God. It was like I always trust God, right? But like whenever these circumstances come up, and like I'm like on fire as soon as I get back, like I'm on fire. I'm like, of course he's going to provide me with the job. And then a couple of weeks
Hmm.
pass, and you're like, oh. And then a couple of weeks pass, and you're like, okay, well, like what's going on now? And then it's like that fire, like, and it's really just our way of realizing that we can't do it ourselves. Like we just
Yep.
slowly like
Yep.
go down because we don't see it yet. Even though God sees it, God's like up there. He's like, I'm not worried about it. But we're
Yep.
like sitting there, like we can see that, hey, well, things aren't happening. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? I thought I was going to get this job. I thought I was going to get this job. And but now it's like I went from having like basically just crickets for like months to like I don't even have like I'm completely like in a way exhausted this week because I have not like I went from just full time. I like every night I got something, and it's a blessing because I'm just so thankful to be able to have things that are always pursuing God. Almost all these things that I'm doing is either one, I'm getting scripture, or I'm getting Bible study fellowship with my friends, and just things that are always strengthening my spirit.
Hmm.
And I realized how important that is. And yeah, I also do the reserves. So I did the reserves this past weekend. So I'm just like, I did that weekend shift and then went right into the work week. So it's hit me pretty hard, but I'm thankful for all of it. It's it's really a blessing. So
Well, that's what you should. You're doing good. You hit the ground running, and that's all a part of putting that old self to death and being
Mhm.
alive in Christ. And Marshall and I have talked about it on a previous podcast about keeping that fire going. Like you were saying, it does tend to, at times, you get discouraged. God, Jesus is always there with you, but your fire may dwindle to a smoldering pile of ash. But all you need is to get more involved in Jesus, and He stokes that fire for you. And so
Yeah.
that's surrounding yourself with uh, fellow believers, and you kind of have to put aside just those old connections and focus on
Yeah.
making new connections, new edifying spiritual connections with other believers. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I always think about, especially during that stretch of where I didn't necessarily have, like a full-time job, like the world will tell you, like after a week or after 2 weeks or after 3 weeks, hey man, you need to start, you know what I mean? You need to start working. And not that we don't need to, I'm in a
Mm-hmm.
complete agreement. I'm like, it bothered me that I didn't have that job. Then I also look back and I'm like, I served in VBS at my local church for the first time in I don't know how many years for a
Yeah.
full week
Mhm.
because I had all the time to do it. I was able to go down to my dad's place and serve at his VBS for like a full week. I would have never had the time to do that if I was in full time employment. And
Right.
so it when you're around kids like that, it just blesses you in a different way, seeing how childlike their faith is. And
Mhm.
I I'm telling you, man, some of those experiences, while I didn't have the full time job, which I do now, it's like, man, I'm grateful for those moments because like I really wouldn't have had the time to do it. And you have to put your whole life on hold to do it. But it was like I think God was keeping those doors closed for the time being because he wanted me there. You know what I mean? And he
Mhm.
knew I
Yep.
needed to be there. My family needed me there. My church needed me there. Just so many great things, man. I really, and like I said, the world will tell you different. Well, it wasn't that great because you were out of a job. Well, I disagree. You know what I mean? I feel like I had a lot of great things come from that. So
Sure. I
just a
mean, God
different
knew what He
perspective.
was doing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but that's just kind of the brief, I guess, my faith journey. Yeah, I grew up in the church and uh, just probably 25 years was really really just against it. Not because of anything the church did, but because of my stubborn self not wanting to change my life.
Yep.
And yeah, so I
We've
take,
all
I take
got.
full I take full accountability of it. It's me for sure.
Join the
But
club.
yeah,
I mean, because
yeah,
it was a similar story. I grew up in the church and stuff, and uh, got saved at a young age, but of course took a completely different path, and it took me back around to where we're at now, fully dedicated to Christ. And don't you ever? Uh, you kind of alluded to it earlier that I get to feeling bad sometimes that it's like, man, all those missed opportunities that I had to have the Holy Spirit work through me to
yeah,
somebody else. And here I was so stubborn and self uh, absorbed or selfish. I let my own selfishness get the best of me, and like you said, it is all on you. But think about all those missed opportunities that you could have shared Jesus with somebody else. And I'm with you.
for sure. Yeah, and like I think naturally all of us could point to some areas where we felt like we could have done that better. Um, and it's only natural for us to feel that way. Uh, just like I was mentioning, like you said, and mentioning before, of like how I felt like probably musically I could have reached so many more people at that time in my life. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I was in high school going to classes with dozens of kids every single day. I mean, you talk about sharing the gospel. Now, how many wanted to receive it? That's another question because they were
Sure.
teenagers. But it's definitely something that I mean, it's not like the music I was making at the time had any great influence on the kids. You know what I mean? So for sure. I look back at even just now. Like, I mean, I'm a Christian and I'm a full believer, and I walk with God in my own independent journey. But I know
Mm-hmm.
there's better. Even today, I know there's ways that I could reach more people. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
even with the strange schedule that I just expressed to y'all. I mean, I know there's ways whenever I'm wherever I'm at, whether it's at a restaurant and your server is, did you ask her if there's anything you could pray for, or him, anything you could pray for? I mean, it's just, there's always those opportunities where we could set the table to open those doors. And I know personally, I know I could be better at it. Um, so yeah, it's just, but yeah, I know God has a perfect plan. And as much as, I may cringe on it and realizing that I should have changed earlier, I'm thankful for the journey, because I think it really is. It's all been in the right timing, and it being able to
Mm-hmm.
shape me into this particular moment, being on this podcast with y'all, this particular moment. It's all it wouldn't, if it wasn't in His right timing, it wouldn't have happened this way. So I'm thankful for it.
For sure. What does Marshall? You had another question about what we saw on your website. You have a really cool verse. I looked it up. I like it. What was your question on that, Marshall?
Yeah, yeah. So the John 1:5 that you have there at the top of your website,
Yeah.
kind of what brought that up? What made you want to use that specific verse?
So, as y'all can probably tell, like, a lot of my branding and a lot of the stuff that is associated with me is always, it tends to be in black and white. Um, and the reason for that is because, one, before I was a Christian, I felt like I was always struggling with the light and the dark aspects of my life.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then, as I became a Christian, I realized that the light overcomes the darkness, obviously, as Scripture says,
Right.
but that like, whenever you see, even in most of my photos, like, you'll see, like, the light is still within me, right? You know what I mean? And even
Mm-hmm.
with the darkness surrounding me, I'm still able to, not by my own strength, but by God's strength, able to overcome it, because His Spirit's
Mm-hmm.
living through me. And so I always like the contrast of the light and dark, because I feel like we all struggle with it, right? Like, we all struggle with, even if it's just, saying something a little bit, in an angry tone to somebody, or something where we just stray off just a little bit. The dark's
Yep.
always trying to switch us off that path. But ultimately, when it's all said and done, and we get to the gates of heaven, we're going to be fully encompassed in this light, and everything's going to be light. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so it speaks to me volumes, because I know, even as a non-believer and a believer, the light and the darkness pool is still there. It's just the difference now is that I know that the light is my identity. Like, that's who I really am beneath. Before, I don't feel like I knew that. I feel like I was trying to figure out if I was going to be the light or the darkness.
Right.
So that's really where that comes from. And yeah, man, it's just a way I feel constantly. Like, I mean, and I want to be that light in the darkness for other people. And
Yeah.
so uh, that's really where that verse comes from. And I think I can't see it going anywhere with me. I mean, I can't see it going anywhere. Me switching to anything else. I think it's just,
Yeah.
that's kind of like who I am, and
Yeah.
what I identify the most with. So yeah,
That
that's kind of where it
reminded
comes from.
that reminded me, Justin, of the of Paul talking in Romans chapter 7 of for what you were saying earlier. He says in verse 15 there, "For I do not understand my own actions. I do not practice what I want to do, but I am going to do the very thing I hate. Now, if I habitually do what I do not want to do, I agree with the law, confessing that it is good." Anyway, he's going back and forth. It's a battle of your flesh. It's like you were
Yeah,
saying. It just that battle of the darkness reminded me of Paul's talking about this battle with our sinful nature, our sinful flesh. And so I thought that's another verse to kind of back up what you have
yeah,
gone with there.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
And just to even say something, I mean, just the power behind the words of saying, the darkness has not overcome it. You know what I mean? Like that's just
Mm-hmm.
like that's it's a point blank period. There's no
Yeah.
changing that. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, and the world will tell us
Yeah.
different. Like they'll be like, well, there's plenty of darkness, where there's no light, and we know that to not be true. But um, but just living, or being able to be completely like just humbled, knowing that, like, man, that's a straight truth right there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about it because, and also just what, Jesus says, with take heart, I've overcome the world. It's verses like that where I'm like, all right, well, I don't have to worry about that as much. You know what I mean? Knowing that
Yep.
he's already seen it through. But yeah, it's just one of those things, anybody, it also allows me to identify, just like I said, as a non-believer and believer, we both deal with the pools. It's just with believers, we know where our identity lies, and we know that the light eventually will overcome the darkness, even though it already has in a sense. But we know that in the grand picture, when we get to heaven one day, that
Mm-hmm.
will be completely rid of the darkness. And um, so yeah, that's where it comes from. A great question, by the way. Yeah, I love it. And it's a verse that has a lot of meaning to me. So
That's awesome. I
I
love
was
that.
just
Thanks
okay.
for
So
explaining that.
as I was trying to find it, and I'm not gonna find it, but because I can't. I'm really good at being able to recall verses, but I'm not good at recalling where they are. But
that's me too.
as we wind down here, I just wanted to. I wanted to leave you with kind of like I wanted to leave you with the verse, but I'll just try and remember it. But what we're doing here on this podcast, what you're doing with your music is, we could be sowing for somebody else to harvest, So I just wanted to encourage you, just keep on doing what you're doing. I love it. It's you're doing your part. We're all trying to do our part to expand God's kingdom and to have Him work
Of
through
course.
us. And so what you may think, your music, and that's what we like to do here on Undaunted Pursuit is. We like having artists such as yourself on here because what we say may not touch somebody, but maybe the music will. You said it yourself that you resonate. My wife resonates with music more so than she does with maybe sometimes even a sermon. But there's people out there that do the same thing. That's why
Mm.
we have music at the end of every episode, is because hopefully these Christian artists, we can, one, promote them, and two, their music will touch somebody just as much, if not more, than what we're even saying. So
Yeah.
keep it
No.
up, man.
Thank you for that. Seriously, and all glory to Him. Like I said, it's just it's sometimes I really just sit back and just don't understand how I'm even here. I mean, I couldn't imagine myself being in this position years, before this, but I'm incredibly grateful that I am, because I also realize that I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Like, this is what I want to do, and this is what God's called me to do. So I'm very thankful. So,
So
so yeah.
please tell me you got more in the works, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot there. More, I mean, a lot, and it's great. All of it's great, and a lot of features too. Like I said, a lot from Saved and Thankful sparked a lot of people wanting to collaborate. A lot of CCM work, which is cool. I'm excited to dive into that because I think there's just such a cool mix between it. I'll
hmm
have to show y'all some of the stuff that I have, but it's gonna be real cool. And yeah, so I'm very
Heck,
thankful.
keep
Both of
sending
y'all.
us this stuff. We'll keep putting it on there. We'll promote you as much as you could. Talk to some of the other guys we like using. Anthony Morris has been a big contributor to this podcast, and we love promoting him. We love promoting anybody, especially when we share the same goal, and it's to spread the love of Jesus. It's to spread the
For
good
sure.
news and the gospel. So, um,
Yeah.
hey, is there anything you can you give us something? Can you tease something? What's coming out next?
I wish well, honestly, if I could play it through, we know how technologically limited I am over here.
Right.
Um, but no, I would definitely. I'd like to send y'all something after this wrapped up. But what I would say to um, anybody listening is just put Jesus first, 100%. I always say it. I have it in all of my bios across the platforms. It's
Mm-hmm.
just I make music for Jesus and Jesus alone, and I don't care where the journey takes me, where the career takes me. I never want that to change, and I don't want it to change for anybody else who's a believer, or a believer that makes music. Vice versa, but in your life, just putting Jesus first and doing whatever you do for Him and Him alone. Um, so just wanted to get that out there because I feel like people do that, they'll be fine. And I had to realize that a lot of times, even in hard situations. Um, but it is truly the best thing that all of us can do. So
Heck
Hey
yeah.
man, so I have
Well,
to
we
ask
know a couple of. Go ahead, Marshall.
before we
Sorry.
before we before we wind this thing down. Can you
yeah.
can you sing us just a little snippet of maybe the favorite part of your new single that you just let out?
Hmm.
Can you sing us just a little bit? I hate to put you on the spot, but I really really want to hear it. I know our
No, no,
listeners
no,
would love
no.
to hear just a
They're
little bit
going
of
to
what
hear it
you
at the
got.
end of this episode anyway.
I would say one of my favorite parts of the song is trying to pick. I would say well, I actually I'm even gonna I'm gonna pick that, but I also want to share something I wrote here recently because
Okay. All right.
this is something that's coming out later. But yeah, I would say it's probably towards the end towards the end of the first verse where I've said His grace and mercy has saved me like it saved Paul, or like they saved Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Um, because when I was writing that, it just like the biblical truth of that, and how generations we've just seen time and time again Jesus just come out and just rescue somebody who has been so rebellious and so set in their own ways. And we've always think that a lot of times we think those people are so too far gone. I thought that of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I wrote that, and then when I read it back to myself, I was like, it's just truth. Like, and to say that even, I mean, I feel like sometimes we feel even weird to like compare ourselves to like stories in the Bible, because they almost seem like, I don't want to say fairy tales, it's not the right word, but they just seem like people that are set apart from us. Like they're in the
Yeah.
Bible, and they seem like characters in like some book that like we can never ever, you know, reach what
Like
those
we can't
people
live
were.
up to them. Yeah, we can't
Right.
live up to their
But
character.
but in reality, the Bible shows all the flaws of these people, which
Mm-hmm.
thankfully it does, because if it didn't, they would be painted as perfect people. And it's just reality. I mean, the disciples are no different than us. Their mission was to go out there and spread the gospel after Jesus was gone. And so yeah, that's probably the one that sticks with me the most. And I think whenever people hear it, a lot of people have commented on that section of the verse. Um, but yeah, and also this one, I got it in a feature. I actually wrote this for somebody else,
Nice.
which is funny because then whenever I wrote it, I was like, oh man, I don't know if I want to put this on a feature. But then, uh, but it says, I said, thank you, God. Always had that faith. Even when I was just a kid, I was always on my way, but I started straying away. I got too busy to pray. He's saying, Justin, slow it down, but I kept turning my face. I got stuck in the cycle. Get the money, pay the bills, and give the rest of the idols. I felt stuck in my tracks like sin was clogging my vitals. But that year when COVID hit, I finally opened my Bible. He spoke to me in a dream, said I was destined for death. If I don't change my ways now, then he can't cover my debt. I put my faith in the Lord. I said I need to reset. Jesus showed me the path that I will never regret. So it was like,
Dude.
Come on.
So when I wrote that, I was like, man, I mean, but I showed that verse to my wife, and she was like, man, that's personal. And I was like, yeah, it's for a feature. And I was like,
Yeah.
like it's for someone else's song. And I was like, but I was like, I mean, that's what spoke to me in that moment. So I'm more than grateful, because I know there will be other
Yeah.
things that God will put on my heart. But the song is about faith. It's about having the faith of just a mustard seed. That's what the hook goes and talks about. And so, yeah, when I was going through that verse, man, it really, really, it came to me. I don't know how else to say it, but it really just have moments where the verses just really come to you really fast. And that was one of those nights. So I'm thankful for it. Blessed.
Heck
I'm incredibly
yeah.
blessed.
Keep it up, buddy. Keep it up.
So yeah, I'll definitely be sharing stuff with y'all for sure.
Heck yeah. We'd love to hear it. And tell us where, actually tell our audience, we know where to find you. And I'm obviously going to put all your links in the description. But yeah,
Right.
Where can people find you? Where can they download your music and go and support you? How can we get some support for you?
So music's on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, I think, YouTube. I got the lyric video up on YouTube.
Sweet.
But yeah, just JOliver, capital J-O, rest just lowercase. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, it's just should be pretty easy to find. But yeah, just if you type in JOliver and then Saved and Thankful, you should be able to get to the single pretty quick. And like I said, there'll be, I feel like it's probably going to be one of those things, because I'm working on features and individual music. So I feel like it's probably just going to be one of these things where I just have a flood of music, and it's just like finding out when to release them at certain times.
Perfect.
So
That's
yeah,
good,
I'm
man.
excited. I'm really, really excited about it. And I'm incredibly grateful for y'all bringing me on. And yeah, just really honored to do this. So thank y'all so much.
Heck yeah. We appreciate you being on here. Appreciate you. We really appreciate you reaching out to us. And we, like you said, it sounds so good. You just got to make some more. So, but hey, if you would hang on for a second while we wrap this up, and just stay on here, and we'll get this wrapped up. But again,
right.
Justin, thank you, man, for being on here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yes, thank y'all. Yeah.
All right. Hey, guys, thank you for listening to this week's podcast. Go and follow and share Justin Oliver, JOliver, his stuff, and just all of his links in there. And at the end of this episode, we're going to be featuring his new single, Saved and Thankful. And check it out. And as always, share this episode with somebody this week. You can always message us, and if you wanted to get a hold of him, of course, we can get a hold of Justin, and just email us, mail@undauntedpursuit.com. Yeah, as always, Marshall, what else we got here?
Just to reiterate what Aaron's saying, I mean, guys, go follow us on Facebook, Instagram, send us emails. We would love to hear from you guys. Like Aaron was saying, go out and follow Justin. And go to music by JOliver.com. Go to his website, check him out, follow him, like him, go on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all the good socials. Give him a follow, give him some love and support, guys. We appreciate you guys listening to us and spending your time with us here tonight. And we look forward to the next one.
Heck yeah. All right. Hey, we're going to get out of here. And guys, check it out. Here's JOliver laying it down, saved and thankful. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Adios.
I count my blessings for the days when I was down and losing faith. They made me patient. All I can say is thank you. I really wouldn't be the same if I ain't gone through all the pain. Look what it made me. All I can say is thank you.
Count 'em up, just count 'em up. All the times that I shoved them off, saying I can do it, I'll pull through it. I don't wanna talk, staying faithful, I don't need to walk. What's the point? Who's the rock? I'll come to him when I need something or when I hit rock bottom, y'all. It was all wrong. Had to take a pause, cause how could he stick by me when I was lost through all my faults? He didn't stop, he cared for me, back when it was all bad for me, back when I was still alive, but a casualty. I gotta be honest, I don't deserve him at all, but his grace and mercy, they saved me like they saved Paul. He's my everything, I depend on him when I trip and fall. Thank God he chose me, all I can say is
blessings for the days when I was down and losing faith. They made me patient. All I can say is thank you. I really wouldn't be the same if I ain't gone through all the pain. Look what it made me. All I can say is thank you.
Yeah, who's in control? Is it you or the Lord? Is he guiding your steps? Do you know what's important? Yeah, have you been praying? Or ignoring? It's not too late to change the page and do what's right and live for it. Your soul's on the line, just give it up to Christ. What he did on the cross does more than just provide, does more than just suffice. Without the sacrifice, we had no eternal life, and only death was in our sights. Look, we can't save ourselves, we always needed him. But that's just a lie that we tend to buy and then wonder why we sin. Just come back to God, have faith in his plan. When it's all said and done, we're saying thank you to him.
I count my blessings